Hello everyone, myself Julie Yadav, Assistant Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So today's topic of presentation is software agents and its architecture. So what does these agents are? In terms of AI, agents are basically the same as the humans can. So in artificial intelligence, what we do, we generally create an intelligent system. Means we are providing the same intelligence as the humans have to the agents, or we can say the artificial objects, so that they can behave like a human, or they will have the capability of taking decisions, they have the decision making ability, and they have the ability to improve their skills according to their experience or according to their knowledge. So basically the software agents are those agents that are developed, that are the artificial agent itself, but by using some intelligence or by providing some intelligence to the agents, or we can make them as intelligent as the humans are. So software agents are basically the agents that are developed for a particular task. The software agents can able to make or can do the following tasks for which that software has been developed. As we know, there are many softwares available in our mobile phones or in the desktop. We are using different types of software, and every software has its own capability and own structure, that is or it has some different features. Every agent has its different features. So software agents is basically the applications that are present in our mobile or in the desktop of our computer. So what does now we are going to study about how we can make the agents, or how we can make the software agents. Means what is the structure, what is the framework of the agents that can work for the particular task, or for the task that has been designed for that particular agent. So basically we will going to study about the agents architecture. There are various types of agents architecture. We will going to discuss these in the coming slide. So what does this agent architecture is? Agent architecture is same as the software architecture. Means the architecture is basically the framework, or we can say the design on which that particular agent will work, or we can say the architecture is, or the framework is if we want to describe it, then it is the description of the element from which a system is built, or we can say it is the manner in which the system can communicate with other system. So basically we are going to study about the agent architecture, that is same as the software architecture or the software framework on which that has been designed for some particular task, and they are designed in such a way that they can communicate with other agents that are present in that particular system. So that is based on the that has been designed. Means the architecture has been decided only on the basis of the pattern that has been designed for a specific constraint. So there are number of architectures. There are some of them are very common that I'm going to tell you about in the coming slides. So most of the architecture used by the name of pipe or filter, or we can say the layered architecture. It means the structure or the framework are depending upon these two architecture, that is the pipeline or filter, and another one is the layered architecture. Pipeline or filter is like the input for first pipe is the output that it generates, is the input for the next pipe. It means the output that is generated from the previous filter is sent to the next layer, or sent to the next agent, so that it can work efficiently. So this is what the pipeline or the filter structured is. Now another architecture is based on the layered architecture. Layered architecture is basically the architecture in which there are multiple layers. Like for there are for example there are 3 layers. It means the input for that architecture is 1, but in the same way the output is also 1, but the output of the first layer act as the input for the next layer, which in turns the output of layer 2 is the input for the next layer. It means the output that we get is the output of the input that is given to the layer 1. And in the pipeline structure, there are multiple inputs and multiple outputs. The inputs and outputs are in terms of like, I am a human, means I am a human agent. I can perceive from the environment what the environments look like. On the basis of my perception, I can act or I can play my role, right? In the same way, agents have different sensors through which they can perceive the things from the environment, and on the basis of their perception and the knowledge that has been stored in their memory, by using those things, it can make the actions by using those actuators. So it is like, if this is an agent, if this is an agent, it perceives the, this is agent, it perceives the things, or it perceives from the environment. It perceives from the environment. The arrow should be like that. It perceives from the environment, and by using that perception, there are lots of knowledge, or there are feedbacks, there have some experience. On the basis of those, it will act upon the environment itself by using the actuators. So it sense, it perceives from the environment by the sensors, and it act upon the environment by using the actuators. So this is how an agent works, or we can say the software agents work, right? Now the pipeline and filter define a model where data is moved through a set of one or more objects that perform a transformation. It means the data is moved from one set to the next and next to the next. In the same way, the transformation process continues until we get the efficient output. So layered simply means that the system is comprised of a set of layers that provide a specific set of logical functionality, that the connectivity is commonly restricted to the layer contiguous to one another. Means the layers, the connection between those layers are contiguous. Means until the first layer generates the output, the next layer won't take the input to generate the output. So in this way, the layered architecture works. Now I'm going to discuss about the different types of architectures on which, or different types of framework on which different agents work. So based on the goal of the agent application, a variety of agent architecture exists that can help them to work as they want. So some of the major architecture type and application for which they are being used are, these are the types of agent, 6 types of agent. First one is reactive agent, deliberative agent, blackboard architecture, then belief desire. We call this architecture as BDI architecture, hybrid architecture, and lastly the mobile architecture. Some more architectures are also available, but these are the most commonly used architecture that that are used to implement the agent. So let us study about what the reactive architecture is. So reactive architecture is simply the architecture for agent. It is the most simplest among all the different architectures. This architecture is the most simplest architecture that can be used to design an agent, or that can be used to framework an agent. So in this architecture, now how this architecture works, how the agent works, who is made from this architecture. So the architecture agent behavior are simply a mapping between stimulus and response. Basically, how the agent works, that is based on the reactive architecture. It just seamless. It means it just percept the things from an environment, and on the basis of their map, it responds on the basis of their mapping. Suppose if there in knowledge base there are many types of rules that are already present. If I'm going to take an example of self-driven car, that can be based on the reactive architecture. How it based means, if hurdles come during the riding of the car, during the driving of the car, if hurdles come, then this become a situation. So what does the agent do at that time? It percept that the hurdle in front of me. So what does it do? As it percept from the environment that there is hurdle, then it will go and mapped with the state. Means if there is hurdle, then what to do? So there can be many number of states. On those states it can opt any one state, and then it just respond what to do if the hurdles come in between. So this is the concept on which this reactive architecture works. So this architecture, agent does not have any decision making skills. It only react to the environment, whatever it perceived or in which it exists. It does not have any decision making ability. Decision making skills means it does not have any thinking capability or reasoning capability. It works on as I percept, without thinking or without applying my knowledge base. It just map, if this is the condition, then what is the output? It just map with, the input with the output, and then just respond to the environment. So we can also say the agent simply read the environment and then map the state to the environment. Whatever the state that has been matched with that environment, it just read that, and one or more actions can be there. So among those actions, it just act any one among those actions. There can be multiple actions for a particular condition. So among those multiple actions, only one actions can be chosen to perform on the environment. So it has some disadvantages, like this problem cannot be Firstly, I want to tell you the advantages. First advantage is, like, it is the most simplest architecture that does not have any complexity. It is this most simplest architecture, and its working is the most fast. Means it can work fast. It can give you the output, or it can give you the action to work fastly. It is the fastest architecture on which an agent can work fast. So this type of architecture, these are the advantages. Now some of the disadvantages of this architecture are, like, if this is the simplest architecture, then it does not have any ability to solve the complex problem. So this is the disadvantage of this architecture. It does not have the capability to deal with the complex problem, because complex problem need your decision making ability, and this architecture does not have any decision making ability. So this architecture, this framework is not suitable for the complex problems that cannot be solved simply. So this shows the working of the architecture, or the reactive agent architecture. See, this is the environment. Through the sensors, if this is the agent, the yellow portion is the agent. These are the sensors that the agent used to sense from the environment. These are the actuators that agent used to act upon the environment. Through sensors it sense, and through actuators it act. So whatever it sense from the environment, it just map that state. It becomes a state. Whatever it sense, it become a state. Then it map that state within the rules that has already been there, stored in the knowledge base, and among those rules it can choose any one, and by choosing that action, or by choosing that rule, the actuators act upon the environment, or the action will be executed basically. So this is all about the reactive agent architecture. Now the second architecture is the deliberative architecture. we can say that deliberative architecture is the advance of reactive architecture, right? So a deliberative, as the name implies, it includes some deliberations over the actions to perform and give the current set of inputs. Basically, there may be deliberations. Deliberations means whatever the agent perceives from the environment, it won't take actions accordingly. First, it use its ability to take decision, then only it will act upon the environment, because during the execution, there can be multiple state. If this is the condition, then this can also be the action. If this is the condition, then this can also be the action. So in the same way, there are multiple actions that can be performed for that a particular state or for particular input. So instead of mapping the sensor directly to the actuators, as we done in the previous, sensor map the things with the mapping, and then through actuators it act. It doesn't do that work. Instead of mapping the sensors directly to the actuators, the deliberative architecture use sensor states, prior result of given action and other information to select the best action that needs to be performed. So it does not simply map. What it does, whatever it senses from the environment, it creates a state. It becomes a state, right? Then using that state, it checks prior result. Suppose if some condition occurs in front of that agent, then it will recall whether the same condition has happened in the past or not. If some same condition happened in the past, then what action at that time that the agent has chosen, and what is the outcome of that action, that has been stored in the knowledge base, right? On the basis of that, it on the basis of that, the other information in order to select the best action to perform. On the basis of that, whatever the prior result for that particular instance or for that particular state, it will take whether that state, that action needs to be taken or some another action needs to be taken. That depends upon the sensor state and prior result of that particular action and other information that has been stored in the knowledge base to take the best action that needs to be applied on the environment. So the mechanism for action selection is undefined. Why it is undefined? Because it is undefined. We never know while some condition occurs in front of us, right, what to do. For example, if some questions came in our exam that we didn't study, what kind of answer we do? We write. We try to make answers, right? But that was not defined, because defined answer was that was already told you in the class, right? So that's why the action selection is undefined. We cannot predict what will come in the exam, right? So this mechanism is, that's why, based on undefined action. So the main advantage of this architecture is it can solve more complex problems that has not been solved by the reactive architecture. It can tackle those problems, it can solve those problems that are complex problems. So why it can solve the complex problem? Due to the following reasons: because it can plan, it has the decision making ability that help the agent to plan and perform the sequence of actions to achieve a particular goal. Complex problems. So this is the advantage. Disadvantage is this is more complex. The architecture of deliberative architecture is more complex as comparison to the reactive architecture. First thing. Second, this architecture is slower than reactive architecture, because in this it has the ability to take decision. That's why while we are deciding what to do, what not to do, then there is then the time is needed. That is why we say this architecture is slower than the reactive architecture, or we can say it is slower due to the deliberations for the action that needs to be select. Or this some more the same disadvantage I have already told you. This is no the disadvantage of this problem is also like it cannot solve the it can solve the complex problem as the reactive architecture can solve. So there are a sequence of actions that require to present of state which encoded into the mapping function. Now the diagram shows how the deliberative architecture work. In the previous one, there is a mapping state, perception through the sensors, map the state and then perform the action. This was the reactive architecture. The new or advanced things in deliberative architecture is like that. During the action is selected, whatever you perceive from the environment and you need to take action, you need to select action. That action should be based on the state. Whatever the state, if the same state occurs again, then then we have to check in the memory whether the same state has been already occurred or not. If that state has been occurred, then what is the output of that state that has been stored in the knowledge base, and after applying that action, what was the goal, means what was the result of that application of that action that has been already stored in the knowledge base. So on the basis of these three, state, knowledge and goal, it will take the action on the environment. This is the way how a deliberative architectures work. Now another architecture is blackboard architecture. One more thing that I want to tell you, that the blackboard architecture is basically used in a multi-agent system. Multi-agent system, what does this multi-agent system? So till now whatever we have studied is based on the single agent, means like I am present here, I am only single, no other person is presented here, right? So I can act as a single agent. But if I consider about the whole department, there are multiple people that are involved to run the department successfully, right? So we can say that is a multi-agent, means the system or the environment in which multiple agents are present, and the action of one agent depends upon another agent, or the knowledge of one's agent can also depend upon another agent, then that completely makes an system. So whenever there are multiple agents present in the same environment and the decision is based on all the efforts of the environment, then that environment is known as multi-agent system, or that system is known as multi-agent system. So basically there may be some problems while there is multi-agent systems. Problems can be conflict, they can be conflict, there can be a problem of negotiation, bargaining, trust, reputation, there can be arguments between the agents. So to resolve those things, we are having a architecture, that is the blackboard architecture. So what does this blackboard architecture is? Basically in this architecture, as I have already told you, this is used to develop a multi-agent system, not a single agent. This is used to develop a multi-agent system in which there are multiple agents working together. The goal can be similar, the goal can be different for which the agents are working. So the blackboard architecture system is a problem solving approach that utilizes a modular and decentralized framework. Basically the concept of this is like we are having a blackboard where the problem has been written, right, and the associated solutions or the associated actions that can be taken, that can be planned by different agents are written on the same blackboard, and on the basis of those, the other agent that are present in that system have the same access, like they can access what the problem is, they can access what actions till now have been taken, what others are solving or what others are taking action, everything is written on the board. So this is not a centralized framework, this is a decentralized framework. Because why we are saying it decentralized? Because this system does not have a centralized agent, means the agent which coordinates with the other agents that are present in that system. There is no central one or there is no superior one that coordinates with the other agents. The agents present in that multi-agent system coordinate itself, they collaborate itself, they compete itself. There is no others that can synchronize the working of the different agent. They individually themselves make collaboration, they individually themselves make coordination among them. That's why it is known as decentralized framework. Definitely, if multiple agents are present, then it needs to be solve the most complex deliberative architecture. So it is effectively solve complex problem that lack a well-defined algorithm or a predetermined structure. Till now, the deliberative architecture works upon some predefined steps, right? On the basis of those steps, the actions need to be performed. But this architecture is used to design an agent for the complex problem. Complex problem in the sense the problem that are just arise or instantly arise and there are no predefined steps to solve that problem. So to find the solution of that problem, we need a blackboard architecture that in which there are multiple agents working together collaboratively to find the action or to perform the action or for that particular problem. So this blackboard architecture is basically inspired by human expertise, as the humans can think. Like some condition occurs, how a human can tackle that. This system basically works on human expert collaboration and solving different problems by sharing information and contributing their expertise. Because as multiple agents are present in that system, so they are working, if they are working to solve the common goal, then whatever the information the individual agent have, it can share that information with the another agents that are present in that system. They can share their expertise, they can share their information and contribute their expertise. As we know, every person is individually having some expertise in any of the field. In the same way, the agents that are involved in that environment have some expertise. For example, some sub agents are good in front end, some are good in coding, some are good in back end, some are good in designing. So in the same way, collaboration of these agents can make the complex problem solution easily. So this is basically the functions that can be used to successfully implement the blackboard architecture. Like whatever the blackboard contains, every agent in the system can access that, can update it. So what it can read, it can select whatever the knowledge is there, it can configure the knowledge, it can execute the knowledge. What it activates, it reads from the environment, and what it can perform, it can update the blackboard, it can execute the conditions, it can execute or it can take the actions according to the collaboration of all the agents. So these are the following steps that needs to be following while the blackboard architecture has been designed. So initially what the step tells it, if the blackboard is set up with the initial problem statement or any available suitable data. So the initial steps, what does the initial step initiates it? The blackboard there is a blackboard, and on that blackboard the problem on which the agent needs to be work is written on that blackboard, and the data that is needed to solve that problem is also written or also available on that blackboard itself. Now the activation step, the controller select and activates one or more knowledge bases. Means not every agent has its knowledge base. So every agent can use their knowledge base on the basis of their current state of the problem. Whatever the current state or whatever the solution has been made for that particular problem till that instance, that has already been updated on the blackboard. So on the basis of those and on the basis of the data available on the blackboard, the execution or the activation mode has been initiated. Now, what does this execution? Now the third step is execution. Means whatever is written on the board and whatever the knowledge that you have gained to take the action. Now it's the time to execute. Whatever the conclusion of the action needs to be taken, you needs to be execute that. So the activated knowledge, whatever the knowledge you get from the previous step, then independently analyze the problem. Using those knowledge sources, they are to be applied on the problem, and after applying, after executing whatever the solution or whatever the action needs to be come, there can be multiple actions, right? Because in this is used for a multi-agent system, there can be multiple actions. Now, suppose if we are having 3 actions, then we need to combine those actions and make an efficient action that needs to be take place, or we can say using all the outputs that was given by the different agents, a specialized algorithm or a technique or a procedure or the partial solution or the hypothesis may be communicated. So hypothesis is basically not the accurate answer, it is the assumption that has been given by the different agent present in the multi-agent system to make the solution of that complex problem easy. Another step is the conflict resolution. As we know, multiple agents are present, then there can be a conflict. Conflict in which sense? Means if agent 1 gives its answer and agent 2 is not satisfied that with the answer of first agent, then there can be a conflict. Both of them will have a conflict, like my answer is correct, another agent can say my answer is correct. So to resolve that conflict, the blackboard architecture is there, because if multiple knowledge sources are generating conflict or overlapping solution, a solution mechanism is employed to reconcile the difference and select the most appropriate solution. As I have already told you, blackboard is there on which problem has been written, as well as the associated data is also there, and on the basis of that data, every agent is updating the states. So everything is transparent. Every agent present in that multiple system can fetch the data, whatever the state, the current problem is, everyone can fetch. So there is no conflict, right? If everything is transparent, then nothing is hidden. What is the need of conflict? So the conflict resolution is solved, or we can say the conflict has been resolved by using the blackboard architecture. So after conflict resolution, the data or the knowledge sources, after taking or the execution or taking the action on the environment, the knowledge sources needs to be updated with the output that they have taken, or with the, if some new constraints are developed, then they needs to be updated too. So this process continues until the iteration, means this process continues until we get the satisfactory solution for that particular problem. So this is how the blackboard architecture works. Now the fourth architecture is BDI architecture. BDI stands for Belief, Desire, Intention architecture. This architecture is totally based on the rational agent. Rational agent is the agent that is the duplicate of a human. As I am, if someone creates my duplicate, then that is the rational agent. Means it can think like as the human can. It can behave, it has the features, it has the feelings, it has the sentiments, all the things that a human can have. These are the things that are associated with, if these are the things associated with any agent, then that agent has become the rational agent. So we can also say the rational agent is the duplicate of a human, or we can say the duplicate of a human intelligence. So this architecture is based on the rationality of the human. So BDI as it stands for belief, desire, intention. It is the architecture that's work on the theory of human reasoning. Means that was given by Michael Bratman, the person who invented how we can develop a agent, or how we can develop a artificial intelligence that have the same intelligence as the humans can have. It gives us the theory of human reasoning, how a human can create reason on the basis of the logic or on the basis of the fact that has been stored in the knowledge base. So this architecture is totally working on the basis of rational agent. So what does it represent? It represents the view of the world by the agent, means what it believed to be the state of the environment in which it exists. Basically BDI, the three components. B stands for belief, which contains how the world look, or we can say what are the knowledge that can be used to solve that particular instant, of to find the solution or action at that particular instant. So beliefs contain, or we can say it is the state of the environment which exists in the environment. This is what the belief represent. Belief represent the next one is belief, desire. Desires are basically the goals. Means on the basis of knowledge, how we can switch to the goal. Means the knowledge that we have, by using that knowledge, how we can reach the goal. So desires are basically the set of goals, or the goals that need to be needed. Desires are what? If we convert it into Hindi, then desires are ichha. Ichha ki hame what we want to do, that is our goal. So and the intentions are basically the set of actions that need to be taken on by using the beliefs that needs to be taken to get the desire. So beliefs specify the agent uses beliefs and desires in order to choose one or more actions to meet the desire. So the state represents the belief, maintain the set of goals that are desires, and finally intention elements map the action to modify the state environment based on the agent's need. So this is how the BDI agents work. Whatever it sends from the environment, beliefs are the knowledge base where the knowledge or we can say the facts are stored in the knowledge base, and mapping those facts with the desires means what the goal is. Based on that, we are planning multiple actions. What actions we can take? What actions we can take? These are the set of actions. Set of actions that need to be applied on the environment by helping with the actuators. So whatever the action needs to be taken on the environment needs to be applied or performed by using the actuator. This is how the BDI structure is. Now the hybrid architecture is the combination of both the architecture, that is the deliberative and reactive architecture. So we can say it is the it takes the advantage of both the architecture, that is deliberative and reactive architecture. It is the combination of both the architectures. Multiple layers represent different architecture. If this is deliberative architecture, this is reactive architecture, this is deliberative architecture, this is reactive architecture. In this, there are two ways of layering the architecture. One is horizontal, another one is vertical. In horizontal, one input, multiple inputs, multiple output. In vertical, single input, single output that passes through the multiple layers. So the last one is the mobile architecture. the architecture of your mobile represents the mobile architecture, as there are multiple agents present in the mobile architecture. Multiple agents can be different kinds of apps that we are using. For example, we are having a calculator, we are having a calendar, we are having so many apps present in our system. WhatsApp app for messaging, Telegram for messaging. So the architecture, the framework or the design of your mobile is based on the mobile architecture. So these are the architectures that I have covered, that are used to create a software agent, or the agent that can work, that can think as the humans can think. So this is the architecture of agents. The agents can, the mobile agents can share the data. So the framework of one agent can vary from the framework of another agent that are involved in sharing the data between the different agents. So thank you. These are the types of agents. Thank you.